Hey everyone, welcome to another live stream. So it's 2 p.m. UK time on a Monday, so slightly different time to when I normally live stream. So it looks like I'm going to be doing a lot more live streaming from now on. So this is a little bit of a practice one. We've just got all this new setup. We're using OBS, Open Broadcast Suite or something like that. It's a freeware live streaming software. And as you can see, we've got with us today a good friend of mine, Christy Clarke. Hey, Christy.
Hello, Jonathan. How are you?
Yes, good. It's nice to have you with us. How are you today?
Oh, I'm fine, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me along.
Okay, so we're going to have a bit of an interview with Christy in a few minutes. So I'm just going to see if I can check if everything's going okay. So do we have any viewers? How do I know viewers? It looks like we have one viewer. Yeah, I guess it's sort of 2 p.m. Monday afternoon. We're not going to get the hugest amount of viewers on, perhaps. So feel free to type in the messages. I see we've got at least one viewer on, so feel free to chat in the message box if you have any chat questions. Hey, Happy Hippie, nice to see you. 8 a.m. here in the US. Yeah, it's a bit of a strange time to be doing a live stream, but okay. So what's the how are you receiving the connection? All right. Is the sound and audio all right? You can see both me and Christy all right, and you hear both of us all right, Happy Hippie? It's a bit of a test run this. It's the first time I've done it using this software. So we seem to be pretty good. So I'll keep an eye on the chat box just to make sure everything's streaming okay. If anyone that's watching could just let us know if there's any issues with the streaming. Sounds great. Okay, brilliant, Happy Hippie. Thank you. So, Christy, where are we? So, let me just... You have to bear with me a little bit, so I'm just getting used to this new software.
No problem, Jonathan.
So, I think we're all good to go. So, looks getting good feedback. Sounds great. So thanks for coming on my first of a new series of live streams using some new software, a new perspective. So I guess I've been called lately. I've got a new excitement, a new impetus to begin to move in a slightly new direction. Still going forward. ET contact, expansion of consciousness, still the same theme. However, I guess we're taking it to a new level in a way. I have this general idea of something I wish to create, and this live stream is part of it, the first of a series of perhaps many live streams. It is, I guess, what the overall theme and goal of these live streams, and I guess a part of my calling and purpose in general, is that I wish to share this ET consciousness with humanity. Like recently I've taken a little bit of a step back from my channeling. I haven't been so active on Facebook, or well, I have been posting on YouTube, but I've had a little bit of a break. There's some older videos that have been going up, so I've been called to sort of take a bit of a step back and just go into a bit of an introspective period, and sort of really I was just doing a lot of meditating and relaxing and regenerating and healing and processing a lot of out of alignment beliefs. And in this time I was not really able to move forward with any passions, with any excitement, so I was just waiting for the impetus from my higher self on the next direction to move in. And it has happened over the last couple of days. I'm beginning to get a lot of clarity over the new direction and where I'm taking this YouTube channel and my calling and my excitement in general. So what the general impetus is, I'm not sure exactly where this is going, but this is part of it, and something seems to be manifesting already, i.e. this. Thanks, Christy, for this manifestation we are making together. And so the general idea is that the more I pursue this path of awakening and extraterrestrial contact, and just to share a bit of background and a bit of history of how I got here and how I came to this place. Really, when I started getting into the UFO phenomenon and ET contact back in 2008 around time, I remember I was studying a lot of Bashar at the time, and Bashar was suggesting that if we want to accelerate extraterrestrial contact, if we want to make open contact with these extraterrestrial civilizations in the shortest amount of time possible, what we need to do on our behalf is to raise our consciousness, is to raise our level of understanding of our true nature, our true awareness, in a sense become more enlightened, become more self-realized. And of course the way they teach this is through following our excitement, following our passion, and aligning with our higher self this way and becoming more attuned to our, I guess, our love, light, bliss consciousness. Because the idea is that the ETs exist on a constant state of high vibrational frequency, high vibrational awareness of pure love, pure bliss, pure joy, a very high vibrational state. And whenever we truly connect in with this collective consciousness that is available around Gaia and in our collective manifestation at present, we begin to experience more and more, as we tune in more clearly and more directly with the Extraterrestrial Alliance consciousness, we begin to tune into a greater degree of bliss, of joy, of happiness, of love, of just this pure love, light, bliss consciousness, which is the nature of creation, which of course all the Eastern wisdom teachings point to, the idea of Satchitananda, consciousness, awareness, bliss, or whatever it stands for. The idea that our true nature is this bliss, this pure love, this compassion, this instinct to serve and share love and bliss and light throughout creation. And the more I personally connect in with this ET Alliance, the more this is the consciousness I connect to, the more I see that they operate on such a high level of love, such a high level of bliss, such a high level of unity consciousness. And the idea is that what I wish to bring to these live streams, to my work, to the world, to Earth, is this consciousness, this love, light, bliss awareness, this higher state of consciousness, this euphoric consciousness that is available as we shift into a fourth density, fifth dimensional consciousness. Because I believe it's not just the ET Alliance, it is a collective consciousness that is manifesting around Gaia, that is very much rooted in the extraterrestrial consciousness, and perhaps it is very germane, very oriented around the extraterrestrial consciousness at present. But what I believe is happening is that all the ETs that are coming to Earth at present, all the ETs that are coming into our reality and arranging, bringing their ships, bringing their consciousnesses into our reality and hovering around Earth and observing Earth and assisting us through channeling, through connecting in dream time, through whatever ways the ETs are inspired to assist humanity at this time. That it's like this collective consciousness forming, like this unity consciousness around Gaia, around Earth. And I'm connecting into this more and more lately, and the love and the bliss and the high vibrational euphoric energies that are germane to this dimension of consciousness. And so what I'm aiming to do some way through these transmissions, through these interviews, through what I'm going to be bringing forth through more and more of these live streams, is really trying to bring this consciousness to Earth, trying to bring this consciousness to Gaia, trying to bring more and more people into the ability to tap into this fourth density, fifth dimensional hive mind, telepathic consciousness, unity consciousness, social memory complex as well, I would call it, that is forming, which is a co-creation, a telepathic unity of all the ETs and light beings and guides and angels and inner earth beings and fairy folk and nature spirits that are forming this unity consciousness, all these beings that have devoted their life and their consciousness to the highest bliss, the highest euphoria, the highest service to God, to service to the One, to service to source consciousness, service to the highest, which of course includes all beings because we are all one. The idea is that all beings that are able to direct their consciousness towards unifying with this field of conscious awareness that is permeating the collective consciousness of Earth. We are collectively forming this unity consciousness and this consciousness that can be tapped into at any time, and we can access like this, in a sense, high council, this diplomatic relationship of the Gaia ET Earth collective conscious mind, and from this place begin to interact more directly with the ET consciousnesses for the acceleration and expansion of this planet and humanity. And basically the impetus behind this new movement and these new live streams that are going to be coming forth at this time is to begin to share this energy with humanity. I've had a number of inspirations how we can share this consciousness with humanity, and I will be doing that through a variety of means and methods and techniques and simple ways that we can tune into this, in a sense, off-world consciousness, because although it is, in a sense, the collective consciousness of Gaia, in a sense, the collective consciousness of this new 4D, five-dimensional Gaia that includes the Extraterrestrial Alliance, all the beings, the Brotherhood of Light, the Great White Brotherhood, all the beings, all the entities that are on Earth at this time to bring in this collective consciousness. It creates a kind of off-world consciousness. The consciousness, because it is up in the stratosphere or the atmosphere, the higher levels of atmosphere, it is in a much higher consciousness because it's not down on Earth, because it's centered very primarily at present in the extraterrestrial ships. Their consciousness is centered in the upper areas of our atmosphere on the edge of space. The consciousness is very much higher because it isn't bound by the dense frequencies of Earth and all the dense energy of humanity that humanity is emitting as it goes through this intense period of struggle and strife and transformation at this time. And what happens is the more that we can learn to tune into this higher, like in a sense, higher atmosphere consciousness, the more we can enter into the unity consciousness and the euphoria and the love, light, bliss of this telepathic ET mind. So I'm going to be sharing with us a variety of ways to tune into this consciousness over the coming weeks and months and years, and as we move forward on this planet and this ascension of humanity. And one of the ways I'm going to be doing this is through a few interviews with awakening people, such as my friend Christy here, who's going to talk to us a little bit about probably the evolution of consciousness, ET contact, and hopefully share his perspective of where humanity is going and what we can do to bring this new Earth into being. So, hi Christy, thanks for being with us here today.
Thank you, Jonathan. Again, thank you for having me.
So, I'm just going to read into the questions, just check everything's going okay. So, hey Tinfoil Hatter, good to have you here. Bit of a ad hoc transmission, so good to have you on board. So I'll just read a few of these posts that have gone. Wilcox says it's a critical moment in history or whatever. I reckon that's a safe statement. I would say for sure it is a critical moment, and yeah, we've all got to do our bit and step into our alignment and our calling. Well, hopefully Tinfoil will be able to use these transmissions to tune you back into bliss and tune you back into this new consciousness that is coming into Earth by the extraterrestrials themselves. So, looks like we're all streaming good. So, okay, so yeah, so thanks so much for coming aboard, coming on my first live stream in this new format, Christy. So would you like to just share a bit about yourself, share your background and how you got into spirituality and interested in UFOs and consciousness in general?
Yeah, certainly. No problem, Jonathan. Yeah, where do I start, really? I suppose I start with myself and just try and give yourself and the viewers an understanding of what has taken me to this point. I feel personally my spiritual awakening started from day one, and that was the day I was born, basically. Like, and I feel it goes back that far, and maybe into another lifetime. And yeah, I mean, I was part of the consciousness that's around us, and I remained in that sleep state, as they say, like, and I played in the chaos on a daily basis, and and that was life, and I rolled in that on a daily basis, and I didn't see really much of a problem because I could manage it basically, like, and but I had no interest whatsoever in the UFO phenomenon. I had no interest at all. Hadn't got access to the internet at the time, so I was just reading some books. I came across the subject on a few occasions throughout my life, but didn't pay very much attention to it. I had great difficulties connecting with the church, the Catholic Church, for no really specific reasons. I hadn't got the interest there like throughout my life, so I stepped back from that really, and I was looking for something else, of course, and that something else was basically myself. But because as I said, because of the chaos, I was distracted really, and the chaos came in many shapes and forms. But I'm married. I have two beautiful children, and I have a son and daughter, Rachel and Darren. They're young adults now, and I had an experience basically when my daughter was quite young, and I was walking her on the beach. We were on holidays, and I had her in a pram, and I was pushing the pram along the beach, and I came across this UFO sighting, and I stopped again. It was in the evening, and I had a look up into the sky, and knew immediately it wasn't an airplane, and it was there for a few seconds, and it just disappeared. So basically,
so what did it look like? Can you remember what it looked like?
Yeah, it wasn't very, very close. It was way up into the sky, but I paused for a few seconds, and my daughter had no interest whatsoever. She was very, very young. I think she might have been about 3 or 4 maybe at the time. So Rachel is now 28, so it's about 23, 24 years ago. So it stayed with me throughout the holidays. I went back and I explained to my wife what I was seeing, and she had no interest whatsoever, and she just listened and carried on really with what she was doing. But excuse me, it stayed in my mind, and I knew that basically it wasn't a plane, and I tried to figure out what it was. Immediately I put the name on it, UFO, but I hadn't a lot of knowledge, or I wasn't really interested in the UFO phenomenon at the time. So I came home from holidays and anyway, and basically I started doing some research. Now, not a lot, like I started reading some books, and I spoke to a few friends on the site, and then they just shook their heads and they had no interest whatsoever. And it took off from there really, like we were given the use of the internet, and I went online, Jonathan, and I started exploring the UFO phenomenon around the world, and wasn't really interested in UFOs. It was more or less UFO sightings. I was more interested in whistleblowers that were speaking on the subject online, and came across a few interesting people. One guy I came across, a guy called William Cooper. He was an expert on UFOs, and he worked in the Navy intelligence in the States, and he was an expert. And I followed him for a while. He wrote a few books, and he has a few articles online as we speak. He has since passed away, but he gave some insight really into what was going on and the cover-up that was in place as regards of this subject. So I played around with that, and I started digging again, and I came across different people, the likes of Bill Newhouse. I don't know whether you came across him or not. He was a mechanical engineer, worked in Area 51, and another guy called Dan Bursch. He worked with a being called J-Rod, and he was a Zeta Reptilian in Area 51, and he worked on craft engineering and that. So this was all new to me, and I sort of got locked into this information for a few years, and I was just again researching and digging deep and coming up with all these secret projects that was basically kept from society. They were bouncing up on the internet here and there. So yeah, that's where I played. Was came across Dr. Stephen Greer on the disclosureproject.org, played with that for a few years, found that really, really interesting. Then Bashar came along, as you mentioned his name there earlier on, so I tapped into Bashar. And yeah, I was just sort of, I was in there at this stage, and I was like a dog with a bone, and I wasn't letting go, like, and I just looked at the cover up around the world, and did see some research into basically us, the consciousness on the planet, and basically how we've been suppressed and kept asleep from this information, and how they designed that really with the church and with the monetary system and everything else. So I rolled with that for a few years, came across the likes of Project Camelot and Kerry Cassidy. The list goes on, Jonathan. So yeah, I came across a few people that could channel ETs, and I says to myself, yes, I have to experiment here. I came across Human Colony a few years ago by accident, really, and I met a lovely lady there called Kim. Kim was based in Australia, and yeah, befriended Kim on Human Colony, and it took off from there, and she invited me into Jim's weekly webinars, which was amazing, and still are. And yeah, I ended up doing a few sessions with Kim from Australia, and I brought it to Kim's attention that basically during my meditations, I was seeing this what it was a face, basically. I wasn't too sure what type of face it was at the time, but he used to come in on my left side and he used to come across and just look at me and go out down my eyes. So this is happening for a while, and I kept it quite secret to myself. I was afraid basically to tell anybody because of the ridicule and whatever else. So I said, Chrissy, just play it safe and keep it to yourself. Like, there's no need to tell anybody. But I brought it to Kim's attention, and anyway, we used to log on and we do some channel dancing. I don't know whether you ever tried channel dancing, Jonathan. So basically you just take the energy of the being in, and you select a song on YouTube, and they loved music, like, and so they loved dancing. So I was doing this with Kim, and I brought to Kim's attention to this face. So she brought in a being that she was connected to. I think the being's name was Almatok, yeah, he came in and basically said, yeah, there's a being trying to connect with you. So I went, oh, wow. I was blown out of the water immediately. Like, and he says, yeah, and his name is Quinn. And he spelled the name Quin. And I said, wow. So I wrote all this down. This is amazing information for me. So, yeah, that took me to another level then. I realized that there was an energy trying to connect with me. After all the research I'd done, as I said, like, I just basically moved away from that, and I was more focused now on basically the aliens themselves and their interaction with consciousness and their interaction with different humans on the planet. Again, I had a few sessions, had a session with Jim once, and Jim brought in Quinn, and Quinn made it clear that basically his name was Kin, K-I-N, and so yeah, I introduced myself to Ken, and Ken again told me the story. He's a being residing in a ninth dimension, and he can drop down to fourth dimension, and spends a lot of his time in the Essassani, with the Essassani race, and yeah, and he said he's always been around. He said he's basically always been waiting for me, basically, to wake up to this area, this topic, like, where he says, I just wasn't ready. And as I said, I was too distracted in the chaos. So he says, yeah, I'm here now, he says, and it's great. He says, he said we lived another lifetime before I came in here. And yeah, I mean, that took me to another level completely, Jonathan, when I knew that this was happening. So, like, again, I kept it to myself, and spoke to Kim and Human Colony, and then a few other people that I got, I made friends with along the way. And again, I had some sessions, and yeah, they basically revealed to me that yes, they were waiting for me basically, and that I have the potential to channel if I'm interested. And I says I am. He says okay. So they started working on me. Well, I presume they were working on me for a while, but just my whole belief systems was belief system in this reality was completely distorted. So basically, they had to, and still are, basically breaking me down and trying to rebuild me, like, and get me into that frame of mind where they have me basically, well, they have me in a position where I'm able to connect and able to communicate. Um, so yeah, Ken came along, and Ken is still around. I tap into Ken on a daily basis in meditations, and yeah, Ken spoke to me there last year, and explained to me that I have hybrid children, and introduced me to my two of my hybrid children, Tatiana and Rocco. Tatiana is a boy of about 6 years, and Tatiana is a young girl. She's about 14 years of age. And they said there's more hybrid children, but they're just two they've introduced me to at the moment. So again, that blew me out of the water again. Like, and I went, oh my God, like, I've now hybrid children. So from that point, that information came to me last year on the hybrid children. From that point, again, it just continues to unfold, like, to a point where I'm connecting with yourself, Jonathan. Ken actually mentioned yourself in a session and said we'd like you to connect to Jonathan and work with Jonathan for a while. So this is happening as we speak, Jonathan, and he spoke basically about yeah, the work that's taken place with me, the work they're doing, and also the work I've been doing myself, which is just basically changing the way I think of what's going on in this reality. And everything is staged, as I said, everything is just an illusion. So it's tapping out of that and realizing that, yeah, we're just a consciousness having a human experience, a spiritual being having this human experience, and we decided to come in here at this time for a particular reason. So yeah, tapping into that awareness again gave me more of an understanding of really my potential as an energy and what I can do down here as regards to humanity itself, if it's channeling a message or if it's just getting the information out there, like, you know. So that's basically where it is at the moment, Jonathan.
Okay, so so how do you feel that this extraterrestrial contact that you've experienced, how do you feel it has benefited your life? What do you feel you've got from it?
Again, a wonderful question. Like, well, where do I start with that? Like, it's like everyone is going that direction, and I'm going this direction. Like, it's just basically turned me inside out. That's the only way I can describe it. Like, as I said, my belief systems in this reality, unfortunately, had to be deleted from the SIM card, and yeah, and as I just reflect in the moment, I realised the impact this has had on my life, like, you know, and how it has changed how I view myself and how I view the outside world. So it's very much part of my life as we speak, Jonathan. You used the word there earlier on, spiritual awakening. I feel we're all on a spiritual path, really. There's just some of us that are awake to it at the moment. Some of us are, and some of us are just trying to evolve on that level. And I continue to do that. If it's researching your own material, if it's researching human colony, if it's researching anything online that will give me an update on what's going on the topic, or if it's also tapping into kin, I'm in the early stages at the moment of learning how to channel. As we've discussed earlier on, Jonathan, I've tried it a few times, and Ken announced me there last year that there's not just himself, there's the council of kin that want to connect, like, you know. So that's all new to me. Like, I'm a little bit nervous with that at the moment. When I say a little bit nervous, just I have a little bit of anxiety around just my whole approach to the situation as regards to channeling, like, sometimes I can doubt myself. Can I do it? Is it happening? So yeah, Ken has given me some exercises to do. I do them on a daily basis. If it's galactic languages, I complete that task in the forest to myself, or if it's just writing, journaling on a daily basis, I try and put some energy into that also. Or if it's just slowing down the mind completely and letting the energy settle in, really, it gives me an understanding of really where I'm at, like in the moment, and gives me a chance to accept really what's coming down the line. And I feel something is happening. I feel like someone in the departure lounge, as I described to someone before, about to go on holidays. It's like this is just like on a burst out, like. And Ken has continued to say, like, you're not waiting on me, Chris, you're actually waiting on yourself, like, and that goes for the rest of the consciousness on the planet. We're around, okay, but yous are here for a specific reason at this time, and you just have to be seen putting the effort in. So that's what I try to do on a daily basis, Jonathan. I try and tap into that awareness, and take it from there. Yeah.
So just to change the subject a little bit, but not much.
Yeah, no problem.
So just to drop a nice, easy question your way, no pressure, but
no problem.
From your perspective, Christy, what is the nature of reality?
The nature of reality. That's an interesting question, Jonathan.
Yes.
Well, the nature of one's reality, it's realizing and trying to accept that we are creating our reality as we speak, and everyone's nature is different. Mine may be different to yours, but when we tap into that awareness, that it's self that's creating us. For me personally, I was inclined to look outside of the vessel, and look at all the issues around me, like, and see how it was manifesting on a daily basis, and how it was affecting people and myself. But I soon realized, with the help from our ET friends, that the reality that I was, what reality was I sending out into the consciousness, the mass consciousness? What was I creating in the moment? And I could sit here and go back and say, yes, I used that word chaos earlier on in the interview. I was creating a lot of chaos for myself, but as soon as I got an understanding and an awareness of this issue and this topic, and I realized again that our friends in high places were trying to connect to me, I realized that, yeah, my reality was about to change. The nature of my reality was about to change, and that's happening as I speak. My whole routine has completely changed. When I say my whole routine, my whole view on everything, basically, like, how I function in this reality, how I connect with people, what I see, and sometimes it can be difficult to accept because, as I say, everyone is not on my page. My family are not on my page. My family just let me get on with this topic of ETs and UFOs, and they say I have an interest in this subject, so they say, yes, go ahead, no problem. But this is my reality. I spend a lot of time basically playing in this energy, discussing this topic, and and I quite enjoy it.
Okay, so I'm guessing you would agree with me in the statement that our planet Earth is in a little bit of a mess at the minute. Yeah?
Totally agree.
Yeah, okay. And that we have the opportunity here to move into this new fourth density, fifth dimensional age, which we are already moving into. But I guess the opportunity we have is to really use this acceleration of consciousness to create the new Earth. But of
Yes.
course, it's not all about visual. Part of it, of course, is about visualizing and staying in that higher frequency and trusting and manifesting vibrationally. But of course, we also have to take action in the physical world. We also gonna have to do things. We're gonna have to build this new Earth ourselves, basically, aren't we? It's not going to happen by itself. So the question I will put your way is, what is it we need to do to create this new Earth? What is the most important thing we need to be doing on Earth at present to begin to make this transition into the new Earth and resolve all these things that we you know, these issues we know are wrong? What do we need to do to create this new Earth? What is the most important thing we need to be doing as humanity physically at this time, in your perspective?
Is to look at self, Jonathan, and accept the biggest problem you have at the moment is self. Yes, it's happening all around us, as you just described, but for me, the answer to that question is going back in here and realizing that, yes, I need to address what's going on in the vessel. And sometimes that can be difficult because a lot of us are detached, really, and we don't know who we are. We've no identification, really, on who we are as this spiritual being having this human experience. We're just seen as a name on the birth certificate and a date of birth, and that's it. And there's a much bigger picture really behind that, and unfortunately a lot of us haven't got that awareness because we're in that sleep state, and we're controlled, as I said earlier on, by the system that's in place, so to tap into that consciousness, yeah, one needs to look at self and accept that they have the potential within themselves to change what's going on within them and around them, and that's by viewing their own vibration and where that's at in the moment, and that gives one then some understanding of really what's going on the outside and also what's going on the inside.
So basically what you're saying is, I guess it's an inside job. We all need to do the work on ourselves rather than focusing on what needs to change in the outer world. We should all focus on doing our inner work, but then presumably as we do our inner healing and our inner spiritual work, presumably we also need to be taking action and acting upon our calling and our excitement. So while you say working on ourselves, it's not just going inward and doing the meditation and the practice, but it's also being of service to humanity and serving in whatever way our excitement inspires us to serve. Is this what you're saying?
Well, as Bashar says, follow your highest excitement, and is that happening as we speak? So tapping into that statement gives one an understanding. Yes, what am I doing now in the moment? Am I following my highest excitement? Am I following my joy? And that can be a challenge again for a lot of people because of their conditioning, because of their programming. But it's when you get a taste of this topic and this understanding, and you realize that you have the potential to change not only yourself, but you have the potential to change people around you, but just how you view yourself and the outside world. So taking that lead, yeah, can give one insight, Jonathan, as to the potential they have within themselves, which is massive.
So I guess it's I believe it was Gandhi that made this quote: "Be the change you wish to see in the world."
There you go. You've said it.
So the ET's got all their teachings off Gandhi.
Well, maybe so, or maybe the opposite way around. But like our ET friends have been around for a very, very long time. It's just they've been kept basically suppressed from us, and they've given us Wi-Fi, and they've given us the opportunity then to research. There's only so much information on TV that they will disclose to you, but I think they're aware now, the powers to be, that the cat is out of the bag and there's not a lot they can do about it at the moment. You can't stop it. It's going to happen. Like, I'm talking about disclosure, and I'm talking about mass awakening on many levels.
Okay, so while we've drifted onto the topic of disclosure, I guess what part of what I'm trying to bring to this community and the ET community through these live streams is a kind of clarity to the UFO scene and the extraterrestrial consciousness world, because there's a lot of conflict, I guess, out there at the minute. Like I remember thinking, like, I need to begin doing some research for these live streams and begin to get my ET knowledge, and because a lot of this live streams are about is going to be like following the cutting edge news and what's happening in the ET field, whether in the UFO scene, the channeling scene, just really exploring the cutting edge and how consciousness is expanding, and how day to day and week to week the consciousness is expanding, and the plan for contact is moving forward, and really riding the cutting edge of this. And I was thinking, so where is the go-to website to really get, you know, the latest information? And that's the question. I really don't know. There's you know, because there's so much like Discord, like it is so messed up, this field of UFO research. It's been so muddied with disinformation, and it's like all the old sources, like years ago I used to go to like abovetopsecret.com, but that's just like so infiltrated with like you know, government agencies, you know, debunkers, and all these people that actually seem to be like literally trying to debunk it. It's and like a lot of the big YouTube channels have the big UFO YouTube channels. They've got a bit of a reputation for putting out fake videos and scamming, if not being an outright scam, but at least, you know, putting in some, you know, dubious footage to boost ratings. And there's really nowhere to go, and it's like no one really knows what's going on. You've got sort of like the nuts and bolts UFO researchers like Richard Dolan and Stephen Bassett, and these sorts of people, very much a scientific perspective coming from one camp. And then you've got like the Stephen Greer camp, which is like sort of like that perspective, but more spiritual, more consciousness oriented, and doing a lot of CSETI work, the CE5 work and the contact work, so sort of staking that to the next level. And then you've got sort of the secret space program crew like David Wilcock and Corey Good and Randy Kramer, and then you got this new guy coming out. What's his name? I don't know. There's a guy called Jordan Slather who does doing a lot of work on this. He just recently interviewed him. A new guy come out who was connected to Stephen Greer, but also part of the secret space program. And then you've got like the channeling movement, like myself and Bashar, and that perspective. And then I guess you've got like the Ra perspective, and like Bentinho Massaro's teachings that are heavily inspired by the Ra, which is of course another extraterrestrial. I believe Ra was a sixth density being that was actually able to take in a fourth density body. And what's happening in all these circles is that basically no one's agreeing. There's like no agreement. Like the secret space program crew disagree with the Stephen Greer crew, who disagree with the nuts and bolts Richard Dolan and Stephen Bassett crew, who disagree with the Bashar and the channeling crew. And so, and of course, in the midst of all this, you've got all the disinformation, the you know, the alphabet soup agencies, you know, the CIA, FBI, NSA, all these agencies that are actually part of their agenda to cover up the UFO phenomena and make it look ridiculous and humorize it, and they're all out there muddying the waters, and they're all loving this, so they're distorting it, and there is no clarity, there is no unity, there is no. It's like it's a fascinating time for the UFO phenomenon, because it's like all all realities are falling apart, and perhaps this has something to do with the fact that we are creating our own reality out of our consciousness, and we are literally shifting timelines all the time, and we're literally at a point where we're at like a multi-dimensional splitting point where our beliefs create our reality, and people are living in different bubble parallel realities where their reality is true for them. So
yeah, we've had some updates, Jonathan, there on numerous occasions from Jim on Human Colony, where he's brought in different energies, and these energies have discussed basically our government interaction with different races. That happens a few times a year. So there is ongoing action, or there is ongoing work being done in that area. And he has continued to mention that. I think he mentioned there last year that there's maybe 3 or 4 meetings a year held where government officials, now not just your ordinary government, they're high-ranking government officials, they're interact with different races that come in just to discuss basically what's going on the planet. Like, so it's an ongoing issue, and as you said, yes, they laugh and they ridicule and they make it look ridiculous. But I think at this stage, to be honest with you, it's got to a point where they know they can't suppress it. It doesn't matter what they say. And even if you have different organizations going at each other and complaining that they don't agree or they disagree or they do agree or they don't agree, the bottom line is that they're there. They're around there. Our governments have collected many UFO crashed craft. They have many entities, dead entities that they have taken from this craft. And I don't just mean around the Roswell incident. It's ongoing, like, but it's kept very, very quiet. And they'll only tell you what they want you to know. That's the bottom line. So they will go out there, the CIA or whoever it is, whatever organization you discuss there, and they will make a laugh and a mocker of it. Like, but I'm a firm believer that now something has to give, and it's going to, like, and I think it's our awakening, as we discussed there earlier on, when the consciousness on the planet begins to realize that this is all staged, it's all a joke, it's going nowhere, like, you know, and when they get an insight into that they have the awareness and the potential within themselves to explore many areas, not just on Earth, throughout the universe. They realise the potential they have of going that distance, like, if it's through meditation, if it's through opening up the pineal gland, whatever, the distance, it's there, the potential is there in us all, but it's just a matter of people taking the reins and saying, yes, this is about me. It's not about our governments. We put our governments in power. It's about us taking the power back, and realizing the potential we have within ourselves to move in that direction.
So we got a few questions from the live streamers, the viewers. So I'll just see if we got any interesting questions we can perhaps have a look at. Okay, so perhaps a question from one of our viewers here. Perhaps you could answer this, Christy, being as you were touching on this a bit already. From a viewer called Tinfoil Hatter. I don't see how we create anything. It's all here already at best. We assemble things, not create, it seems to me. So what's your perspective on that question, Christy?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. The person that put that question in needs to maybe, I won't say realise or accept, or understand, what are we creating in the moment? As Bashar says, are we following our highest excitement? Are we coming from that unconditional love perspective? Or are we distracted by our analytical world, our ego, which can take us in many directions? So it's back to the energy, the vibration that we're sending out in the moment. And I think if we all pay attention to that area, we'll see and have an understanding really of the potential we have within ourselves to change.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Because of course the idea that the Ayel and of course the Sasani and many teachings present day teach is that we create our own reality within our consciousness. Our vibrational state creates our outer reality. The law of attraction, what we put out is what we get back. When we're in a positive state, we create a positive reality and vice versa. So, and I guess we can begin to explore this, and if we are doubtful of it, we can begin to observe this, how our consciousness affects our reality. We can see, like, when we're excited and inspired and enjoying life and going with the flow and enjoying our reality, we tend to notice that we attract better, happier people to ourselves. We have more fun, abundance flows more easily, we have a better life in general. We tend to notice that we do see these reflections. And so what we can do is we can begin to observe just day to day how our outer reality reflects our inner reality. And when we're perhaps in a frustrated mood, we tend to reflect back frustrated people to ourselves. When we're really relaxed and peaceful, we tend to reflect back relaxed and peaceful to ourselves. And we can see this very, very vividly in our day-to-day lives. When we're having a very peaceful, happy day, we see how everyone around us tends to be more peaceful and happy. And on those days where we're having bad days and everything's going wrong, we tend to attract these sort of people to us as well. So we can observe our reality and see how this is affecting us, and this can help redefine our beliefs, shift our beliefs to the understanding that we create our own reality. And also perhaps another perspective is just to see that you know, we don't really have any evidence that we're not creating our reality. The idea that our reality is external to us and we are within our reality is a belief that we've grown up with. And I guess we can sort of put our hand out and reach our hand out and pick up a cup and put the cup back down again and let go of the cup. And it seems that we have let go of it and it's out there, it's not in us. But when we begin to observe our consciousness for a few minutes and begin to ask ourselves, well, what is reality? What is out there? Where is out there experienced? We sort of come to see that out there is actually experienced in here. All we know is that we are aware, we are conscious. We are conscious awareness in this present moment, and we're experiencing thoughts, the sensation of a body, and things moving in our outer reality. But all we know is that exists within our awareness. And,
yes.
And that's all we can say for sure, that reality exists within our awareness. And when we come to see that, we can actually begin to sense into it. And the more we begin to see this and rest into it and meditate on it and let it permeate our reality, just this sort of awareness and this understanding that that reality exists within our awareness, exists within our consciousness. We are conscious, we are aware, and we are aware of our inner reality, our thoughts, our minds, our anger, our love, our compassion, our hate, our experiences, and we are also aware of dogs barking, wind blowing, trees growing. But all we can say for sure is that we are aware. This is happening within our consciousness. And the more we rest into this, the more we sort of come to see that there is only consciousness, there is only this. And we can see, well, if there is only consciousness and there is only this, and there is only this existing within our consciousness, then surely we must be creating it, because it's our consciousness, it is us. And we come to sense into it, we can feel into it more. So a couple of tips for seeing how we create our own reality.
Yes.
So let's see what else we've got in questions. Are the energies intensifying? Feeling extremely tired and dizzy today. Yes, the energies are intensifying all the time for sure. It's hard to say. What are you feeling today, Christy? How are you feeling today with the energies?
We had a chat earlier on before this session, Jonathan, and I felt amazing after that conversation. I channeled Kim to you, and yeah, the energy that I felt after that session when I left was quite nice, and I'm still in that energy as we speak.
Oh, wonderful. I think this is yeah, one of the signs of the accelerating energies. If we are in the flow, like we're both in the flow state today. We did the channeling earlier. We had a little private channeling, and doing this today. I mean, we're both in the flow. We're sort of in our flow, in our excitement, enjoying what we're doing our things. So when we're in the flow and aligned with our higher self, these intense energies, we just tend to use those and to create more joy and more excitement and more peace and serenity. But if perhaps we've still got aspects of ourselves that are out of alignment, like what we're doing for a living, for a career isn't our highest joy, our highest passion, or we have beliefs or emotional patterns running about lack beliefs and negative beliefs about our reality. This can be when we can start to feel very dizzy and very drained and very exhausted, because we're experiencing these out of alignment perspectives, in a sense filtered to a very high vibrational frequency of energy that is now on the planet. And this is what can begin to make us feel disoriented and drained and depressed and anxious. And so yeah, I mean we have gone through a huge acceleration of consciousness. I mean, I don't know what your perspective is, Christy, but certainly for me, certainly starting around September, October time last year, the sort of last 6 to 8 to 9 months, we seem to have gone through a huge shift of consciousness and a huge acceleration. What's your perspective, Christy, about how the last sort of September time, since around then, how things started to change?
Yeah, I agree with you there, Jonathan. Ken had said to me on a few occasions that I connected that I would see a difference, I would see a change in my energy and my vibration, and I took that on board, okay, at the time, and that would have been around the time you mentioned it. And they constantly speak about the shift in energies and how that gives them the opportunity to interact with us. But yeah, personally, yes, I can relate to what you're saying. But I'm also reminding myself really of the amount of work that's involved within me as regards to my belief systems. As I said, I've given the opportunity now to be part of this, and I know that there's still a long way for me to go. I'm by no means over the line. Yes, I'm still in the early stages, but they've given me a taste of it, and when I hear a comment like that you just passed, how the energies have changed and how powerful they are, again gives me the opportunity to say, yeah, this is a great place to be, and as you said there, throughout the morning we have tapped into that energy, and it's given us the opportunity to stay in that energy, and when you understand that, you realize you have a choice of how you want this to play out. Like, what do you want? As Bashar continues to say, do you want to follow your excitement, or do you want to go back to the old belief systems that you play in that are still around you? But how you play with them is entirely up to you. How you engage in them, how they manifest around you is entirely up to you. As a friend of mine said to me recently, Christy, I don't do stupid anymore. I said, that's amazing. I don't do stupid anymore. Yeah.
Okay. A question here, Christy. Viewer saying Christy's also a channeler, huh? Does he have a YouTube channel too?
I haven't anything up on the channel at the moment. No, I started the YouTube channel there last year, Jonathan. But as I say, I'm just in the early stages of channeling, so I haven't the chance to put any material up.
So you think you might be getting some up soon on your YouTube channel?
Yeah. I mean, with a bit of work, we've decided to do together. Hopefully, yeah, we can let that manifest, and we can get some material, Jonathan, that might be interesting for the viewers.
Okay, so would you like to share quickly who it is you channel? I think you have mentioned it already, but
yeah, I'm channeling Kin. Kin is the being that's has been popping in and out and is here as we speak. But Kin has also mentioned the Council of Kin to me there recently. So there's other energies out there, other beings out there that would also like to connect. Again, I'm just making sure that that can happen in the right way, the right format, like for myself and for anybody else.
Hi Transmissions, namaste, nice to have you here. Let's see if we've got any other questions. Well, here's an interesting question. By definition, we don't know it when we're unconsciousness. Sorry, say again. By definition, we don't know it when we're unconsciousness. I can't say this. Start again. By definition, we don't know it when we're unconscious. So how do we know there's any such thing as consciousness? Well, from my perspective,
interesting point.
I would say that's the only thing we are sure of, that there is consciousness, because we are conscious. I mean, we are aware. Consciousness is all there is. The only thing we can say for sure is that we are aware, we are present, and we are conscious. So,
interesting point.
That would be my perspective, that it's one of the few things we can say for sure, that we are conscious. We surely affect things on each other, creating drama, understanding or misunderstanding, etc. I guess the more conscious, the better creators will be. Yeah, the more we raise our frequency, which I guess we could equate to more conscious, the faster we create our reality, in my experience. Something must transcend our idea of power. Otherwise, the bad guys would have ruined us and the world completely, right? I guess what he's saying here... Well, what question this offers up to us is the question, how can we redefine power in a positive way? Because power is good, yes, but perhaps power, how it has been used in our reality until this time, is not so good. So would you like to answer this question, Christy? So I guess I'm not quite sure what the questioner meant, but I think he's pointing to this sort of how can we define power positively? What's the difference between positive power and negative power? Or, yeah.
I think the journey for us all, Jonathan, is back to the heart. We spend too much time up in our head analysing situations of many interests. I think for the mass consciousness on the planet is to come back to the heart energy and spend some time around the heart energy, which really is your brain thinking and feeling. It's a big difference. We spend too much time up here analysing. We need to feel, as I said earlier, we need to go back inside and feel the feeling. So spending as much time as we can around the heart energy will give us an understanding of the potential we have within ourselves to send our energy out into society. That's where I am at the moment. It's trying to stay there, trying to stay in that place. Now, I can't get distracted, as I said. I'm human. I can't get distracted, and I can go up here and I can get caught up in this analytical mind of self, where I am aware that no, the safest place for me to be is down around the heart energy, and when I'm there, I'm safe.
Yeah, and I think that's great wisdom. It reminds me of this idea of the balancing of the masculine and feminine, and I guess the misuse of power really comes down to the imbalance towards the masculine energy, this very patriarchal society we live in, where it's very masculine oriented and everything is figured out with the mind and from a fear-based perspective, in a sense, because in a sense the mind is fear. But what we need to embrace more, I feel, is our feminine side, the goddess energy, the divine feminine, the love, the compassion, the unity, the nurturing, that womb energy of nurturing and growing and loving and compassion, and to nurture humanity and grow through love and compassion and creativity and this nurturing, loving consciousness. And I guess this is where we've gone wrong, and this is why the power has been abused, because we've lost that feminine balance. And I think that really is the secret to the positive use of power, realizing that we are infinitely powerful beings because we are the creators of our own reality, but realizing that it is really essential to drop into our heart, to drop into our love and our compassion and the wisdom of the heart that really wants to nurture and create and generate a better world. And when we're rested in this heart consciousness, from there perhaps we can step into our true power and use power in a positive way. So perhaps just take one or two more questions. Question: what is your information on the natural templates from the ancestral seeds? What is your information on the natural templates from the ancestral seeds? I don't know much about this. Does this mean anything to you, Christy? You don't look...
Sorry, no, I have no knowledge in that at all.
Okay, let's sort of tune in. What is your template? What is your information on the natural templates from the ancestral seeds? Could you expand on that question a bit more, Transmissions? It's not something I'm aware of. So I think we'll just see if we get some more clarity on that question come through. But in the meantime, I have a couple of books here. I just put these books out, I just grabbed them. We have a couple of books here that I was drawn to. So I don't know why I've been drawn to these books, but I've been drawn to talking about these books. The first one is Sacred Encounters. Can we focus in on this? By Janet Elizabeth Colley, PhD. Sacred Encounters, Spiritual Awakenings During Close Encounters. And the reason I really wanted to talk a little bit about this book today, apart from the fact it's really fascinating, it is written by a clinical psychotherapist, Janet Elizabeth Colley. She trained as a psychotherapist, and the fascinating bit I found about both these books, just what I'd like to touch in. I've also got this one, Preparing for Contact by Lisa Royal. Lisa Royal is quite a well-known channel. She channels a being known as, I can't remember, I've not read this book for a while. Who does she channel? A female, I'm sure, but she's a really good channel. She's really well known. And what both these books touch on, something I just felt inspired to talk about a bit, is how humans compartmentalize consciousness. And the reason we're not ready for extraterrestrial contact yet is because we still have fears. And a lot of what's going on during extraterrestrial contact in these experiences is that we are segregating, splitting our consciousness off into different segments. They talk about it a lot clearer in the book, but the general idea is that when a human is traumatized by an extraterrestrial contact experience or an abduction experience or something like this, we are actually compartmentalizing our experience. I believe what happens is something to do with like the emotional feeling, the memory and the experience begin to get separated into different aspects of our consciousness. It's almost like we're unable to act holistically. And the way the ETs exist as a consciousness is that they are fully integrated. All aspects of their consciousness are conscious in themselves at any one time, whereas within a human being, we have our conscious mind, we have our subconscious, and we have, I guess, our higher conscious. And really never at any one time are these aspects of ourselves integrated. We have our higher purpose, our calling, our soul's mission, and our inspiration, in a sense, what we could call the heart's wisdom. And this is stored on one aspect of our being, but we're never really fully tuned into that. It's always, in a sense, separated out, compartmentalized off. We can't really integrate it fully with our consciousness. We somehow, for most of us, we still have our spiritual side and our human side, and we haven't managed to integrate that part of us that knows we're here to serve humanity, knows we're here to initiate extraterrestrial contact, in my experience, or whatever our own individual purpose and calling is. Some of us knows this, and we can tune into this higher instinctual, higher consciousness that feels great, it inspires us, it uplifts us, and it drives us forward. But very often this is compartmentalized, and our egoic mind, our physical mind, is still separate from that and still runs on in a sense, a different, separate operating system. So it hasn't integrated that reality. And of course, this is part of the process we're going through, integrating our spiritual awakening with our physical mind and our physical brains. And we also, at the same time, have our subconscious, like traumas from our childhood, like abuse as a child, or just really struggling to fit in at school or society, or trauma from alien abduction experiences, or multi-dimensional experiences, or awakening experiences, also gets like compartmentalized into our subconsciousness, and we aren't even aware that it's happened. Often if we've had an ET contact experience, we're not aware it's happened because our conscious mind isn't ready to deal with it, so it's suppressed in our subconscious. Or we've had trauma as a child, we've been abused as a child, and that is also suppressed in our subconscious. And either it's not really in our day-to-day presence, it's sort of suppressed, or in many cases completely unaware if we've had bad trauma. And this is what can cause a lot of psychological issues. And I guess what I'm pointing to at the minute is what we're going through as a humanity is the integrating of our consciousness, the integrating of our pain and our trauma from our childhood, the integrating of our higher experiences and our higher dimensional understanding of ourselves as infinite consciousness and infinite awareness, and beginning to integrate those together as one holistic being. And it is at this point where we have fully integrated our subconscious, our conscious, and our higher conscious self into one integrated consciousness, operating healthily and emotionally balanced and true to our true nature in each and every given moment. This is the point where we will be ready for first contact. So it is discussed in both these books from very different perspectives, really. Just the Sacred Encounters book discussing this from the perspective of abductees that have compartmentalized trauma from their encounter experiences that need reintegrating. And then I believe in this book, I'm not 100% sure because I haven't read this so well, but I'm fairly sure Lisa Royal also talks about this and how we need to integrate all aspects of our consciousness before we are ready for further contact. So these are two great books. I'd recommend them both for different reasons. Sacred Encounters by Janet Elizabeth Colley, PhD, and Preparing for Contact, A Metamorphosis of Consciousness by Lisa Royal and Keith Priest. These are two great books that can, I think, assist with the integration of these compartmentalized aspects of our consciousness and really bringing us all back into one unified consciousness, so we are a balanced, integrated, positively oriented, healthy, grounded individual that can move forward with contact at this time. So check out those books. So let's see if did we get a little clarification on this question. So the natural conscious DNA is the original DNA, and the C's are you participation in the universe as other forms. And the ancestral seed is the original seed of life of the human. Yeah, I guess this could refer to. So the question is, the natural conscious DNA is the original DNA, and the seeds you are participating in the universe as other forms, and the ancestral seed is the original seed of life of the human. Yeah, I guess it refers. I'm not really sure about this, but I guess it refers to like the energetic blueprint that is contained within the DNA, within the consciousness of the DNA and our ancestral consciousness, and the idea that there is a blueprint for humanity, a blueprint contained within the DNA of humanity to awaken to our true potential, and the aspects of our consciousness that are misaligned to this perspective, I guess, are what's holding us back from living up to the full potential of our ancestral DNA. So I guess, in a sense, the ancestral DNA holds the energetic blueprint for humanity to reach its full potential. And we talk about the light strands of DNA that can be activated in the multidimensional aspects of our DNA. So I guess this ancestral DNA, this pure DNA, is the potential for humanity to reach its highest potential. So really the potential to align with our highest frequency, our true core signature vibration of who we truly are, and bring that frequency to humanity in whatever way we are inspired to do so. So did you have anything to input, Christy?
No, not on that question, Jonathan. Thank you.
Okay, so it's been a great first live streaming in this new format. So just a couple of questions quickly. Yeah, if that answered your question, transmissions, yeah, let me know. If not, perhaps write it in a question in the comments and we can address this in the next live stream. If there's anything further clarity or I didn't address exactly what you were pointing to. So another question. So basically you are saying we have to expand our mindsets beyond our bodies. Yes, I guess that's exactly it. Yeah, realizing that we are the infinite consciousness in which our bodies exist, in which our minds exist, and minds and bodies are just a reflection of our consciousness and just an aspect of our consciousness, and then our physical mind and our body isn't ultimately who we are. It's just an aspect of us. So yes, expanding our mindsets beyond our bodies is where we're headed for sure. But also understanding that our bodies are part of it and not denying them. Well, I personally can't wait for the day when I walk into a spacecraft and be like, "What's up, brothers and sisters?" Yeah, me too. Okay, so I think this is probably a good point to wrap it up. We've been going... How long have we been going? 1 hour, 16 minutes. So, this has been a great transmission. So, thanks for joining us, Christy. It's been really great having your perspective.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity, Jonathan.
Thank you. And maybe do this again, yeah?
Yeah, certainly, no problem.
Yeah, we can, well, we'll go with the flow, see what happens. So yeah, so I've enjoyed this first live stream in this new format and enjoyed chatting to Christy. It's been great having Christy's perspective. So thanks for sharing with us, Christy. And do you have any final words you'd like to share with our live streamers before we log off?
Please come back.
Please come back. Yes, definitely. Please come back, live streamers. So we'll be back on live stream tomorrow. So tomorrow is the regular live stream. I live stream every Tuesday evening at 6 p.m. UK time, GMT +1 at present. So I will be back live streaming 6 p.m. tomorrow. So, and look out for more of these live streams, because there will be many more live streams coming your way, it seems. We have a new momentum, a new excitement, and a new impetus to create a new Earth in a new way. So thanks, Christy. Thanks, live streamers. Thanks for all the consciousnesses that tapped in from other dimensions. And from me, have a wonderful day. And from Christy,
much love.
Much love. Much love indeed. Have a great day, guys, and I will see you in the next live stream. Have a wonderful day. Shivai. Bye, everyone.
Bye, John.